Ladies and gentlemen, it's really a pleasure being here in person today. I'm so grateful for the London Business School for inviting me to moderate. As a journalist covering the Gulf region, it's so important for me to improve communication on the changes that we're seeing on the ground, and especially in Saudi Arabia. I mean, I've been covering Saudi Arabia for over a decade now, and I can tell you that the changes that are happening on a social level, economic level, cultural level are truly revolutionary and worth documenting. Mr. Nasr, part of Vision 2030, we've heard from His Royal Highness some of the highlights, but an important part of that is building futuristic cities in Saudi Arabia. And when we think of NEOM, of course, we know it's a giga project, it's $500 billion, etc. But is it real? Does it exist?
Well, before we start into the questions and answers, I'd like to say I am so touched by being in this campus. I've spent weeks and weeks in this university, many years over and through my career. Aramco is always sending people to this university for executive program. I can tell you stories about being a student in this campus, so that's for another interview. So your question is NEOM real?
Yeah, is it real?
I like this first question. I think, no doubt, NEOM is beyond real already. You go to the site, you go to NEOM, and you just see that it's being built. So it has to be real because it's already being built with all the work that you had to go through to reach that point in your journey for a project like this. But maybe I can say more about maybe what NEOM and
sure, and what does it mean? What does NEOM mean?
Well, you're looking at that name, NEOM, and the name itself says a lot. So what does NEOM mean? NEOM as a name consists of two pieces. N-E-O, that's new in Greek. M is the letter mim, mustaqbal. So it is the new future. That says a lot about what NEOM is all about. It's not just a project. It's not just building something. It basically says NEOM, under the leadership of His Royal Highness Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who is also the chairman of the board of NEOM. The team, 2017, when NEOM was launched, to make it clear to everybody what it means, we came up with this name. So basically, NEOM is to address the current and the future challenges of the world, but at the same time, it looks for opportunities of today and the opportunities of the future. And I'm going to go through some explanation. So what is NEOM as a region? NEOM as a region is basically located in the northwest of Saudi Arabia. The Saudis know where Tabuk region is. It is toward the northwest of the kingdom. It is 26,500 square kilometers, and that's the size of many countries. So it's not a small region. Actually, it is the size of Belgium. So a country like Belgium is equal size to NEOM. And in Saudi Arabia, NEOM as a project is by far the largest giga project in Vision 2030. I dare to say it is the largest, most complex project in the history of a human being. It's not the largest now, it's the largest since Earth being put together. And I know some of you will say, wow, this guy is bragging so much about NEOM. but I'm really telling you what NEOM is all about, what it means, the size, the complexity, and the ambitions of what NEOM we want it to be. So if we go to the next slide, every project, every company, everything we do in life or in business, you put a vision and then a vision statement. I've seen this many times. First, I'd like to ask everybody in this room to take maybe 15 seconds and read the vision quietly and read it through your mind and heart. What does it say? Okay? There are going to be questions, so I hope you read it right. So let me read the vision my way. I would like to highlight the key statements in the vision. First, it's the land of the future. It's a very daring vision statement to say this project is the land of the future, where the greatest minds and best talents, here we're talking talents, and we're talking global talents. It didn't say what, who. It's basically the global greatest minds and best talents who are empowered, and they are empowered now, embody pioneering ideas and exceed boundaries in a world inspired by imagination. We live this vision every day in NEOM. Some of you might say, oh, that's too much. What do you mean you live this vision? We do. In our planning for our strategies, in our planning for our plan, execution plan, and today we are there, 3,000 people, 3,000 employees work and live in NEOM on site, come from 86 countries. This tells you this is a Saudi vision, but a global project. The 85 and 6, who will be 100 maybe, are there because they are on a mission to transform this vision into reality. I love to read my vision statement every day. I see it when I enter my office every morning. And when I read it, it gives me fuel to say, how do we make this reality? So I can spend the whole day talking about our vision statement, but just read it again. Next slide. So we talked about NEOM, the vision. But what is the model of NEOM? What exactly we are working hard to develop or to produce? NEOM is going to be, as we finish, a free economic zone, meaning it will have its own law, it will have its own regulations, and as the slide says, we are to put together competitive laws with competitive regulation. So this is to be the most competitive free zone on earth. And people will say, wow, this is too much. It is a lot of responsibility. And it's a great big task. But that's the model we want to produce. If you remember the map, that map of NEOM region is going to be free zone. And that map is going to have the laws and the regulation so it can compete and be the most competitive free zone. So what will drive the economy we are talking about for NEOM? How would an economy be established? How would it continue? We basically started our journey, I would say 5 years ago, with that vision statement and with the economic model. So what will create the economy? We worked on identifying what are the sectors that can create and build this model. And we came up with around 14 to 16 economic sectors. Everyone is going to be the basis of this economy. So what you read here is economic sectors. You can go through them. Every one of them is meant to be an economy. So what do we mean by food? We are designing, strategizing a food strategy that addresses first the future of food and how can the food be an economic driver for NEOM. We have a strategy for the food. We have a strategy to create an economy based on the food to serve the needs of the food in NEOM. More importantly, we dream of having the food sector in NEOM a major, massive food sector worldwide. We will export food from NEOM, but export built and based on a future technology and a future science. We dare to be saying we want to be competitive. So you look at any one of them. I will go energy. So NEOM is going to be so unique in energy because it will be the first energy of this size. Remember I said it's equal to Belgium. That will be totally energized by renewable energy. Solar and wind, green hydrogen, and everything. That's a huge task, but that's a piece of the story. We are developing what we believe the future renewable energy model in the world, not on ourselves only, not by ourselves. I mentioned to you the 86 nationalities. These are all great minds and best talents. We're working with the world. How can we convert and create countries that are fully energized by renewable energy? How reliable is this system of renewable energy? That's what we do. And that's what we do day and night. And that's driven by that vision statement I read. We believe in it. We are passionate about it. So media. I'll take another example, media. So what are we doing in media? Basically, and I know you guys will say, oh, you gone too far bragging about NEOM. Our dream and our vision, media in NEOM will be equal and beyond Hollywood. No doubt. We are so confirmed and very confident. We already played and filmed so far 4 Hollywood movies.
Is Riverman one of them? I think I read it. Riverman.
We have Desert Warriors. Mm-hmm. This will be the first one that will come on cinemas in California and everywhere in a few months to come, and others. I'm told by my media people, don't tell the media what is coming.
Terry George might be, directing something.
So media, when we say we want to be equal to Hollywood, if you know, and more, it's industry we are creating. We're competing. Hollywood is working with us in NEOM. They are there all the time. We have camp that's full of huge, very well-named actors on Hollywood. They are there. They are hiding because they don't want to be, and they are filming the movies. And hopefully in months and months you will see these movies. So that's just media.
Mr. Nasr, if you allow me just to interrupt you for a second. If we were to fly to NEOM right now, what is the situation on the ground? What is construction looking like? Give us an update on where you're at.
Today in NEOM, if you fly over, there is 55,000 labor. There is 3,000 employees of NEOM. And there is around 50 contractors. These numbers will reach the following in 7 years. In 7 years, there will be 450,000 labor. There will be companies that are already moving, and they are basically moving earthwork, putting foundation for all these sectors, projects to be done. So a lot is happening. When we are asked, your first question, is this real? I hope it's real because we're spending a lot of money and we are moving earth to do it.
Mr. Nasr, you're no stranger to delivering impossible projects. I know you spoke a little bit before the session about Shaiba and your involvement in the Shaiba project, Aramco's project. Are there any parallels to your experience in Shaiba and NEOM? What is the scale of the challenge here?
I think there is one in common. Shaiba is an oil field, and maybe most of you don't know much about it. Both were mission impossibles, clear, and we defined that day one. But we were told, make it possible.
Did you make mistakes?
A lot. I mean, don't worry about mistakes. You make mistakes. When you are challenged with such things, making mistakes only strengthen you, only make you solid, if you would take it as we are learning from these mistakes. So that's the similarity between Shaiba, University of King Abdullah, and also NEOM. And it's amazing when people say, this is impossible. How can we make it possible? Very small, 3 words question. I would say the majority of the answer will always be yes. But what does it take to make it yes? It makes you first have to believe in the vision, understand it and believe in it. And believing is critical part of making it happen. You have to be passionate about it. I mean passionate, I'll say a few words in Arabic. There is hub, and there is ishq. And the passion is ishq. And if we all maybe, most of us have fallen in love and ishq. But when you get to that level of passion, understanding the vision, driven by it, the impossible will be possible. And I have no doubt.
Mr. Nasr, allow me to be a little bit of a cynic here, but we've went through what you're trying to do, but why does it have to be on this scale? Why does it have to be $500 billion? Why not on a smaller scale, which perhaps people will say, okay, this could be deliverable?
Well, first of all, I don't know where you came up with $500 billion. It might be less, it might be much more. So
that's a number out there.
I know. I actually, I heard the same number,
sure.
But...
you can correct, I mean, you could clarify that.
No, it is a huge project,
yeah.
For sure. So why big? I don't think the thing is an issue of a big or small. The issue is, that's the vision that I read through. We knew and we know what is it we are to deliver. And again, I think what I said also earlier, this is for the world. This is not a project just for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. The vision is written for the world. And that's it. And that's why we have the world with us. And when you are on a mission, a vision like this, you have to do it at the size where the impact of it on the world is very clear and felt. I mean, what we are going to deliver by 2030 and 2050, these are the 2 dates, is only the beginning of the journey of NEOM.
How are you going to attract, I heard one of the objectives is to attract 10 million people to live there. How is that going to happen? Where are these people going to come from? Are they expats? Are they Saudi nationals?
Well, attracting the best talents and brains is not an easy task. Of course, sitting here looking at this group of great students in a great university, that's part of the source of talents. But the world is full of source of talents, honestly. The world is full of energy, the age of the students here that are looking for a challenge. And NEOM is going to be one of those challenges that will attract the best talents These best talents will not just go for any job. They want to be part of a team that are going to make a difference to the world, a difference to planet Earth. This is not just a project. And are we having plans how we are going to bring, by the way, 3 million people, because there will be 3 million jobs created by NEOM by 2050. How are we going to bring people? It's a challenge, but like many challenges in NEOM, we're confident if we think of it in a bigger scale, the world will love and will fall in love with NEOM, and they will be passionate, and the rest is no problem.
I'm glad you brought up the energy aspect of the project and how sustainable NEOM is going to include solar. You mentioned hydrogen as well. There's collaboration with Aramco on some of these projects, especially in the energy sector. Is that correct?
Well, first of all, I'm an Aramco kid. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, people may not even know I was born in Aramco Hospital. So, yeah. So there's no doubt that my blood is Aramco. I think Aramco is the pride of the kingdom. Aramco is an 85 years old and more. Aramco is moving on a very fast track to bring energy through carbon and energy through solar. We are actually honored to be working with Aramco. The power of knowledge in this company is does not fit.
It's unmatched.
Unmatched worldwide. So we are working with Aramco on all aspects,
Can you break it down for us a little bit? It's going to include a hydrogen plant, I believe. Is it green hydrogen, solar? I mean, can you just give us a little bit more detail on the energy aspect of the project?
Green hydrogen for sure. Mm-hmm. Aramco started with not green but blue hydrogen. So we're having the blue hydrogen. We have the green hydrogen. We're discussing how the source of these different hydrogen are important to the world. Again, we have the oil, also the carbon base, where we will have to use some. We are working with Aramco to make sure it is as clean as possible, as emission. We're building this strategy because the world will need carbon-driven oil, and they will need renewable, and will need all other different futurist new park of oil, and that's it. That's the scope we and Aramco are working on.
The issue with renewable energy many of the times is cost. Is that something that you're assessing at the moment? How much is this going to cost? And I'll move into a kind of an adjacent question in terms of financing. How much financing has been secured for NEOM so far?
Renewable energy, I'll talk about renewable energy in NEOM, because renewable energy, especially solar, it will rely on where you are, the sun, the radiation. So we are blessed in NEOM that we have the two renewable energy pieces, solar and wind. Solar comes daytime because the sun, and then at night, where we have very limited solar, if any, the wind in NEOM go very high, and the energy we get at night from the wind is way beyond what you would see in any typical region. It's because where NEOM stands, if you recall the map, we stand on the northwest of Saudi Arabia. Do you have the map, Ron? Sinai and Gulf of Aqaba at night, they get a very heavy wind coming north-south, and it hits NEOM at night. Well, I said we are blessed by that knowledge. So the combination of both give us a very competitive priced renewable energy. But that's not enough. We're looking into adding more renewable energy other than wind and solar as we're doing it. So it is competitive, and we are doing it based on a work that is business case, that is economically visible, and it has the return. And it is less cost to us to use renewable than energy from the grid.
In terms of financing, how much did you manage to secure for the project so far?
Well, as any project, specifically a huge project like NEOM, you start with the infrastructural work. You put the water, the energy, roads, everything. These usually are funded by the owner, by the government. Investors will not come to put their money in building roads. And that's taken care by BIF and also by the Saudi government. But we started approaching the world on attracting investments.
How is the appetite?
High. And it took time, by the way. I mean, 3 years ago, we were talking to the world, and I'm talking about US, Europe, China, and Asia. We've been there all over the world, and we talk. After 3 years of presenting NEOM to the world, after we came to understand NEOM and explain to the world NEOM and ask the questions you are asking me today, is it financially visible? Now we can answer these questions. And beyond these visits and trips we made all over the world, we are getting a high interest from the US. And I'll give you an example. US, the first huge mega joint venture in NEOM, which is the green hydrogen project, is a joint venture of 3 companies. Air Products, which is an American company, Aqua Power, which is a Saudi company, and NEOM. And this is not a small job. It's close to $8 billion. And it is 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. As we speak, we are constructing it. Next Monday, you will see in the news, we are signing with the lenders to this JV over $6 billion from banks worldwide. Banks, when they give you loans, they give you because they believe in your projects and they believe in the return. So it is high. It is really moving. It is still challenging, and we have to perform in a way where the world will start bringing confidence in how they see NEOM is going to be. It's huge, and that makes getting into it a little bit challenging for investors. You all heard of the line, for example. I mean, you see it crossing the map. And this is not a small project. By the way, the line represents 92% of the whole NEOM. 92. And the rest is 8%. So when you put a project like this, it's around 30 years for us to build NEOM and bring the residents and population. It's never built before. It's a 500-meter high complex livability. 9 to 10 million people will live there. The construction is the first of its type, yet we are confident we'll do it. So the world is being attracted now. There's not a single day in NEOM there are no companies coming from all over the world, including, of course, Saudi Arabia and the Gulf, California, China, and everywhere, looking for opportunities.
Can you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the line? And I'll ask one of the questions, actually, my colleague was asking me, how do you travel across it? We understand that there are no cars going to be allowed in the line. Why is it a line? And is it going to be claustrophobic living there?
Well, wait and see. The line, when we started working on the master plan of NEOM. We had a few, must to do to establish the basis. We said we will preserve 95% of NEOM land. It will be untouchable. 95%. You would never hear such a commitment to nature than making 95% of your land untouchable. Actually, we are taking the land, this 95%, back to what it used to be 100 years ago. As far as plantation, as far as animals, there used to be, they're all gone. Now we are redoing it, and it's going to be our nature reserve. So we have 5%. That makes
So it's about land conservation, nature conservation.
Well, it's one of them. So we are to do a master plan on the rest of NEOM. And we wanted to make sure we have the best use of the land. So you cannot just, and we wanted to start thinking master planning on the new way of doing business. And this is where NEOM name comes up. We are thinking of the new future plans. So we have few regions, as you said, Regina, Oxagon, Sindala, and many islands. So we said, how are we going to fit in the future 9 million people? You cannot fit them in these small regions. Your land cannot fit that. So we said we need a line that goes west-east that link the whole area. It goes through different topography, sea, mountains, desert, mountain, desert. So the line is going to be like a journey as you go through these things. So we had basically the first version of the line was 3 kilometers wide, and 170 kilometers long. And when we looked at it, and this is all, to be fair, this whole debate and discussion has been driven by His Royal Highness. He really challenged the hell of us. And I'm talking about long nights where we had to go through this, driven by him. So when we had the line, he questioned, why 3 kilometers wide? Why don't we go from horizontal to vertical? And that will be the new urban planning for the world. And that's when we were looking that night to a city like New York, a city like London. And we concluded, of course, with our designers and architects, the world cannot continue the way it is. Maybe 100, 300, 500 years, okay. But we cannot keep building the New York of the world and London of the world. I mean, if I can compare London to NEOM, we are going to have 9 million. London is 9 million. The size we are going to take to build the 9 million people in NEOM is 34 square kilometers. 34. London is 1,600 square kilometers. It's, I don't know, 90 times. That's the story. The story is the whole world has to start changing how we're going to build the future of planet Earth. And the story will say in history, it's back to NEOM, it's back to the line, and that's where the revolution of urban planning was announced in NEOM. That's what we mean.
Mr. Nasr, how is this going to impact other cities in Saudi Arabia? You're setting an example here, which is huge, and you said it's an example to the world. I fly to Riyadh quite a bit. It's changed. The city's modernizing. Every day I see something, new projects, etc. How do you think a project like NEOM will change some of the older city, more established cities in Saudi Arabia?
Well, actually, this was built to the world. I mean, it's not only Saudi. And unfortunately, a city like New York, we cannot undo. All they can do is just clean the air and be more disciplined. The same with Riyadh. I mean, it's already New York size. But the future, again, NEOM is all about future. The future planning and urban planning, we believe, will take a note of this. And then they will think twice before they take bigger pieces of Earth. Because planet Earth cannot be designed for the population of the land 1,000 years from now. It will be unlivable, and it will be the wrong thing to do. So we want this to be remembered hundreds of years later as a turning point in urban planning that will save planet Earth. And yes, there are no cars in the line. Mm-hmm. Walking is the way to move around.
Will there be a railway? Or?
Yes. Underground, there will be what we call a spine. Hopefully, it will compete with the London tube. It will go beyond it. It's a very well modernized system. It will take you from the sea to the airport in 20 or 25 minutes, 170 kilometers. So that's a very fast move. No cars because you don't need it. Within 5 minutes, anywhere on the line, within 5 minutes walk, you can reach to anything you need for your life.
What's the emergency plan? For example, the railway stops, or for some reason some people can't walk, or is there a backup plan? What if the power stops for a period of time?
Well, we have the backup for every system we will do, of course, okay. But there will always be something like this. And actually, it's on the line, and the way the whole line and the spine is built, the worst case will be if the train stop for something, it's just moving from the underground to the line itself, and it is all walking principles in the line. You don't need to drive a car, you don't need to. So there will be a lot of technological backup system. We are in the beginning of designing the line, and that will be, of course, in our mind to do.
Since you're former Aramco, allow me to tell you some of the grievances from your former colleagues with regards to contracting. NEOM is sucking the air out of the room, so to speak. They're saying all the contractors, all the resources are being pulled into this project, and we're having problems right now securing good contractors. Is that true? Are you kind of pulling in all the resources of the kingdom?
I would not look at it as a NEOM or Aramco. The whole kingdom going through the journey of Vision 23 is a massive execution transformation not a single country has ever lived through in history. The whole kingdom is moving through this east, west, central, south, north. We are north. There's not a bit that is not busy. 2030 vision, as His Royal Highness, our ambassador mentioned, is a target date to reach phase 1 of Vision 2030. And everybody is committed to meet his or her deadline. We are just a piece of Vision 2030. We happen to be a huge piece, and we are actually eyeing on the impact of our construction on the market. We want to make sure the contractors' shortage does not create a massive inflation that we will pay the price. So we are aware of it. Mm-hmm. We are on the phone with Aramco and everybody. Sure. That's the price of being clear vision, execution, meeting the deadline. And we are talking to all the companies, by the way, and the contractors.
think we have some time for questions from the audience. If you have any questions, please raise your hand and we'll bring, I think we have a question here. If we can bring a microphone to the gentleman in the front.
Yes, thank you for, very much for your sharing. And I can see how amazing the project is. What will be the policy provided to attract the global talent to live and work in the new city?
So the question is basically, how do you attract talent? I think you touched a little bit on it and the challenges of attracting talent. Are you offering tax breaks, for example? What incentive is there to attract talent?
Well, we are attracting global talent, of course, including our Saudi talents and regional and everything. No limitation on the source. As I mentioned earlier, attraction to NEOM, attracting people to NEOM, talents, young, experience, will happen by the believers of NEOM. This is not just a project. What we are offering in NEOM is not just a job. What we are offering is people to come and be part of a game changer for the whole world. People will come there, I'm not saying all of them, people will come there because they want to be part of a team that's going to change the world. And as we said in our vision, we're after the best talents and the brightest brains. What we have attracted so far over the last 3 years, and I can speak on behalf of my team that come from 86 nationalities, they are brilliant. They are really, I would say, the best talents on the world today in that business. And if you go and ask, why are you here? He will tell you, or she will tell you, I'm here because I want to be part of NEOM. I want to be part of a game changer to the world. Well, that's by itself will not bring us all the people. But I'm saying that's the trigger. And we are living this every day. And as we are completing the scope, people see that this is real. I mean, back to your first question, is this real? It is real. So they believe that our vision is becoming a true story. The rest, the economic models I showed you, the 16 sectors, we are there, we are developing these sectors because these will be in economy, and the economy will create jobs in NEOM. And these jobs will create the residents and the citizens of NEOM.
I think we can take one more question.
Hello, this is Tamer Nagin from Shark Business News with Bloomberg. I would like to ask one question regarding Sindala Island. I can see on the presentation that it's opening in 2024, so it's almost there. We are 1 year far, so I would like to confirm about the construction developments and where we stand about the linkage with Egypt. If you can touch base on this, please. Thank you.
I think you're asking two questions, right?
So Sindala Islands, the progress so far.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, for Sindala, you need to be in NEOM March, April, maybe next year. If you want to be among the first ones who will reserve a room, stay there in our first resort. So it is the first quarter of next year. If you go there today, it's a massive construction. It will be the first island out of 16 islands we will develop in NEOM. So it's the first quarter of 24. Things are moving. You mentioned Egypt.
Yes.
What is the question? You mean well, to go to Egypt from NEOM, for example, you go boats, you go helicopter, you go, flying to Sharm el-Sheikh. At one time, we've been studying building a bridge to link NEOM with Sharm el-Sheikh. And we're not over with that study yet, but it doesn't sound encouraging technically or technologically, but we are still working on it. By the way, in NEOM, we hear the noise and the music from Sharm el-Sheikh. I mean, we are that,
what
we're
kind
that
of music?
close. We're that close. And the lights at night, you see them. So we're close. And there will be charter boats and movements between Sharm el-Sheikh and NEOM in general. And we are working with the Egyptian side on how can we turn this to be business, and companies can provide this business. We are very close, and I think there is great opportunity to work together on Sharm el-Sheikh.
Mr. Nasr, I'm very conscious of time. I know that you have a flight to catch. So I'd like to conclude here, if you have any final comments on NEOM. But going back to the first point, ladies and gentlemen, NEOM is real. NEOM is happening. And NEOM is the future.
We need children.
And we have a video to show you.
Ron?
His Royal Highness Mohammed bin Salman, Crown Prince and Chairman of the NEOM Company Board of Directors, revealed his vision for a new future. Ever since, we have been building this vision into a reality, establishing key sectors and subsidiaries designed to drive change.
And here was the opportunity to start from scratch, start with a clean slate, with a fresh approach.
One of the greatest challenges that we face at NEOM as we think about building a cognitive city, how do you build trust?
Forging partnerships that will accelerate progress. Opening our doors to business.
We'll produce content of a world standard, not only for the region's audiences, but the global audiences.
Pioneering innovative global projects.
It's really a living laboratory where we can experiment, we can do new things.
Launching and breaking ground on the world's most revolutionary cities and destinations, including Oxygen, Georgia.
NEOM is building what the world's been waiting for. I know I'm part of something that will change humanity for the better.
And the line.
It's an honor to witness NEOM take shape.
We've come a long way in 5 years, and there is much more on the horizon.
So NEOM is real.
Mr. Nasr, one final question. Are we all invited to NEOM?
No doubt. Actually, you are all invited for different purposes. Talents sits here, and we have no global talents here. Business, we are calling for business people to come because the opportunities for investing in NEOM is really huge. And I'm not saying this because we're asking for the investment to come that way. It is very, very attractive investing in NEOM. So please come. We have airports. I flew from NEOM yesterday, straight flight from NEOM Airport to Heathrow. So
we have no excuse.
We're open for business.
Thank you, Mr. Nasr.
Thank you.